A warning from the UN nuclear agency. Iran has removed more than 24 surveillance cameras from its nuclear sites and could be just weeks away from producing a nuclear weapon.
Iran continues to be a persistent threat to Israel and other countries in the region. Now Congress is taking steps to help those nations defend themselves. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
The UN chief nuclear monitor called removing the cameras a serious challenge.
Let's hope that emotions, go down a little bit and that we focus again on the problems, because the problems are not disappearing. And if we add to the problems less visibility, less access to the agency, then I don't think we are solving anything. We are aggravating everything.
Even before the cameras were turned off, 30 nations voted to censure Iran after the agency discovered nuclear activities at 3 undeclared sites. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett praised the response.
We see in this decision, on the one hand, the lies and hypocrisy of Iran in the nuclear context and in general. And on the other hand, we see here the correct standing of the countries of the world in distinguishing between good and evil when they say clearly Iran is concealing things.
Bennett's statement came just before meeting with the UAE's Crown Prince, where Iran likely topped their agenda. In the meantime, the IAEA says Iran plans to increase its uranium enrichment with more advanced centrifuges, approaching weapons-grade levels. On Capitol Hill, lawmakers from both parties signed onto legislation regarding Iran's latest moves.
The Defend Act directs the Secretary of Defense to seek to cooperate with allies and partners to identify an architecture and acquisition approach to an integrated air and missile defense system.
Iran's growing missile and drone capabilities are seen as a regional threat.
Many of our allies in the region have missile defense capabilities, whether it's Patriot systems or other things, in Israel with the Iron Dome system, but they aren't integrated. We need to bring those together, and it is U.S. leadership.
As members of the Abraham Accords caucus, the sponsors believe the legislation builds on the agreements.
The key to the Abraham Accords and this new relationship that was fostered through the last administration is really about recognizing between Arab and Jewish states that Iran is the common threat.
The head of the IAEA says if this pace continues, it would be a matter of just a few weeks before Iran could get sufficient material needed for a nuclear weapon. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And if it acquires a nuclear weapon, it is the ultimate in destabilization for the region. They now can put at threat Saudi Arabia, all the other oil-producing nations, and then their main target, Israel, and has been for decades. They're the major funder of terrorism in the region, and they then, once they're through with Israel, their next target is you and me, the United States. They call us the Great Satan.